Our commentary lineup covers all possibilities. Scott Hastings, Phil Vickery and Nick Mullins.
The oldest test fixture in the world. Over 140 years they've settled their scores at the Oval, Glasgow, Manchester, Blackheath, Inverleith. But this is the first time on foreign soil. They've travelled 12,000 miles to the home of New Zealand rugby, to Eden Park in Auckland, to renew hostilities. And it's never felt more than it's feeling right now. This is something else. On a wet, blustery New Zealand night. Of a million or so words that seem to have been uttered in the build-up to this, Martin Johnson delivered, I think, the starkest. Whoever gets it wrong over the next couple of hours will be getting a boarding pass this time tomorrow for home. Final check on the teams. 3 English changes to the one that put away Romania. Courtney Laws returns from suspension to take his place in the second row. Matt Stevens has the responsibility of stabilising the scrum. And Mark Cueto's hat-trick a week ago in Dunedin, still not enough to retain the left winger's shirt. That's gone to Dylan Armitage. Scotland have shuffled half the team after the agony of Argentina. Captain Alistair Kellock's back. Richie Vernon steps up for the concussed Kelly Brown. And it's a Saturday, so Ewan Murray can take on Stevens in the front row. The back line, pretty much that created so many problems for England at Twickenham in the Six Nations. In reserve, a welcome return for England's number 8, Nick Easter, fit again after a back problem. Matt Banahan will be a hefty influencer of affairs later on. For Scotland, Scott Lawson and Ross Rennie added to the forward cover. Chris Cussiter will bring his usual belligerence. Dan Parks might be hoping it doesn't come down to a late drop goal.
And Scotland, recorded by the
to have been in Auckland over the last couple of days is to have had a little reminder of home. English and Scots crowding the streets, the bars, the harbour side. Now they're all here. Can't imagine you'll be moving far. England against Scotland next. Welcome back to Eden Park, approaching 8:30 on a Saturday evening, Auckland time. We're all set. Scott Hastings played for Scotland against England in a World Cup semi-final 20 years ago. Phil Vickery skippered England to the final 4 years ago.
Evening, Nick. Welcome everyone at home. What a wonderful evening. I think the expressions on the players' faces at the anthem said it all. The atmosphere is electric here at Eden Park.
Well, the oldest international rugby in history. Throw the record books out. The next 80 minutes is what counts. May the best team win.
England have kicked off with the breeze and the rain at their backs in this first half. England against Scotland for a place in the World Cup quarter-final. Forecasters told us that the elements would play their part, and it's clear that they will. It's a very, very tough night. Tough night for the kickers. Tricky night for the line-out throwers as well. Ross Ford will get the first go. And it's been stolen off the top. But England and Lewis Deacon were up too early. There's the Leicester man, 28th cap today. Won Martin Johnson's vote to wear 4 ahead of Simon Shaw this evening. And the first test for England's fullback, Ben Foden. This is Croft up to the 10-metre line. Young's at scrum half to Wilkinson at fly half. Missing his mentor Dave Allred this evening because he's suspended after the fuss with the ball a week ago. Scotland with the first mistake. Ball was knocked on and the advantage didn't last long. And Chris Patterson takes the ball into touch himself. The referee, by the way, is Craig Joubert from South Africa. England struggled with Bryce Lawrence and Jonathan Kaplan on the first 2 weekends. Another Southern Hemisphere ref this evening, and a little bit of early Scottish confusion.
Difficult conditions, the wind swirling out there, a bit of moisture in the air as well. Both teams make it very clear, going to put the ball in the air and try and put the opposition under pressure.
England line-out being stolen by Scotland. This is Lamont doing what he was brought into midfield to do initially before the knock-on. But Scott, that's precisely why Andy Robinson's picked him there.
Yeah, very much so. Took on his opposite number. Perhaps there was hands outside actually to create the overlap, but a first indication of the trenchant running of Scotland's centre.
Here's the mark. Come up.
Flicked off the top by Alistair Kellett.
No, you get up.
Skittering the side again this evening, back in the wheelhouse after being dropped against Argentina. They use Lamont a lot in the Six Nations. He wants to get his hands on the ball very, very early on.
Not now. Wasting time.
And England with the free kick. And the decision, Phil Vickery, is to go for the scrum.
Interesting, Craig Joubert there, warning the Scots about wasting time. That scrum set up, and England have opted for the scrum. An area which I think England might just struggle against Scotland. Ewan Murray for me against Georgia, man of the match performance. Can Matt Stevens deal with the power?
Pause. Early White.
England a little over-eager to get on with it. And the free kick's taken quickly by Blair. Picked up by Richie Vernon on halfway. Away by Rory Jackson. Big tackle.
Get up.
Flying in to Alangi.
More.
Scotland have possession back. Jackson, little grubber. And this is Armitage to Foden. England playing with a fairly substantial breeze, remember, in this first half. Rory Jackson goes back to gather. Armitage. Deferred this evening to Mark Cueto. Wilkinson juggling and hanging on to it. This is Tyndall. Croft with the slippery fingers. And a concern for James Robson and the Scottish medics. And it's the fly half Rory Jackson who has problems. And that looks like a hamstring, and it looks very concerning.
Without any shadow of doubt, I'm afraid Rory Jackson is out. When you see a player like that, and it's up to Dan Parks. Parks, who replaced Jackson with 10 minutes to go in the game against Argentina. Look at the two. It means so much to these players. They are creating history today. The atmosphere is electric, as Phil was saying. And now the game changes for Scotland. What tactics do they continue to employ?
So sad for Rory Jackson. He, like everyone else, has a chance to achieve something here that they will be reminded of for as long as they live. The responsibility now rests on the shoulders of Dan Parks. Has he washed what happened in Wellington out of his system? That missed drop goal that would have booked Scotland's place in the quarterfinals before this evening. Early change for Scotland. We'll see if it fundamentally alters the way they play this game. This is Richie Gray, biggest night of his fledgling Test career. Parks, first job is to find Lamont. Patterson coming through with some enthusiasm. Colliding with Danieli. Stilton half thought about having a nibble on that biscuit, but I think wisely decided not to. Driven over the line by Ford. Little chip through. Evans is chasing it. Foden momentarily was caught in two minds, and that meant that Scotland can win back possession in a very handy position. Here goes Blair. Patterson. Two Parks. First kick is an interesting one, and it was gathered by Lamont, and it very, very nearly worked. Don't think it's the first time we're going to see the large frame of Lamont stretching England's white defence like that.
Oh, very much so, and maybe an indication with Parks being on the field, the kicking game is his first option. I think he should continue to handle the game. Keep running the ball. Scotland finding the space. Brave play coming in here from Max Evans, who beat Ben Foden on the ball. The cross kick was there. There was men over for Scotland, surely.
It's interesting, isn't it? Andy Robertson talked in the week about we can't run around England, we need to engage them, we need to take them on. Scotland showing good early intent with ball in hand.
Ewan Murray with the blue tape around his head takes his place in the Scottish front row. Missed Argentina and the Calcutta Cup match in the Six Nations back in March. A key component of Scotland's team is right in the thick of it this evening. It's a solid England scrum, although Cole has gone down on the far side, and it's a Scottish penalty.
I struggle to come to terms with a decision like that. I understand his loss is binding up. England's scrum was moving forward. Technically, was correct. It's interesting, my worry before the game, particularly for Matt Stevens, Jonathan Kaplan was refereeing his last game where he gave a number of penalties away at scrum time, and he just so happens to be Craig Joubert's mentor. So the England power coming on there, Matt Stevens staying tight on Ewan Murray, really driving through him, and there you see Dan Cole coming down, Nigel Owens doing his job as assistant, letting the referee know what's going on.
Yeah, you maybe saw Nigel Owens on the back of the frame there. Actually, he was the one who indicated to Joubert that Dan Cole had slipped his binding.
Props have been talking all week about how devilishly difficult it is to get a grip on these super slim shirts these days. A wet night as well doesn't make it any easier when you're flying into a scrum and a ton of weight's coming back at you. But the upshot is a chance for Patterson and Scotland to take the lead. One of the first of his 109 caps was in the rain at Murrayfield in 2000. That ended up being a very, very special day for Scotland. and Patterson puts them ahead early on in Auckland.
A massive fillet for Scotland. Chris Patterson, one of the surest kickers around. We obviously saw his statistics not as high as one would expect